Hello everyone, in today's Power BI video, I'm going to share a little trick that will help you to use your DAX measure as a slicer. Okay, so initially what we have two tables. One is team products. So this is basically a dimension table that has product related information, and another one is fact order lines that is basically has a different order related information. So in this table, you can see we have like two columns, that is agreed delivery date and then actual delivery date. So suppose if the agreed delivery date is on 3rd March, but the actual delivery date was on 2nd March, this means the product or the order got delivered on correct time or on time, you can say it. But suppose the agreed delivery date was on 3rd March, but the product got delivered on 4th March. This means the order got delivered one day late. So what we can do at first, we can create a measure that will give us the numbers for the days delayed for the delivery. Okay. So let me go to the table. Let me go to my report view and then create a table. And here at first, let me do order ID and then agreed delivery date or the actual delivery date. And then let's just make it the date. Okay. And suppose, okay, we are sorting it by agreed delivery date. Now what we will do, we'll create a very simple days delayed measure. So this is basically we'll create as a measure that is called a days late using the date diff function. So we are taking the agreed delivery date and actual delivery date, and we are just calculating the difference. And the date diff function, actually we need to also tell that in what format we want the output. So we want the output in day format, or it's like how many days it got delayed, or how many days uh, it was before the actual delivery date. Okay, so we will get a number of day type of information. Okay, and we will use so we'll create it. And now if I put it here, then we can see 0, -1, +1, -1, -1, 0. So 0 means the agreed delivery date and the actual delivery date was exactly the same. So this means it got delivered on time. -1 means it got delivered before when it was supposed to get delivered. So this also means it got delivered on time. Okay, and a +1 means it was delivered after one day it was supposed to get delivered. Okay, so things like that. Now what we can do, we can create a categorical measure based on this days delayed measure. So we'll create a new measure, and here what we are using the switch true statement, that is basically our if that basically works like if else condition. And here what I'm saying, that if the days late is less equal to 0, then it's going to be delivered on time. If 1, then 1 day late, 2, then 2 day late, greater than 3, then more than 3 days late, something like that. And now if I add this measure with our table, then we can get our the category based on the days delayed. Okay, everything is working very nicely. But now how we can actually filter it by using a slicer. This is the main question, because if I select slicer from here, and if I just and I actually cannot use my measure here. This is a very problem. So so because the slicer only takes columns as a field, as an input. So for that, what we'll need to do, we'll need to create a disconnected table. So let me go to enter data, and then let me create a disconnected table, days delayed, and then suppose days delayed category. And what are the categories? It will be delivered on time, and then 1 day late, 2 days late, 3 days late, and finally more than 3 days. Okay, let me check. Yeah, 3 days it will be 3 days late. Okay. Let me do a quick check of the exact values, because these exact values must match with the exact values in the inside our days delayed category. Okay. So delivered on time, 1 day late, 2 days, 3 days late, and then more than 3 days late. Okay, correct. So let's load it. Now in our slicer, what we can do, we can use this in our slicer. But if I select, it will not work anything. It will not filter this table dynamically. So how we can actually do this thing? So for that, we need to create another measure that is like a Boolean measure. And what we will do, we will add the Boolean measure inside our filter level, visual level filter. Okay. So what is the Boolean measure? So the Boolean measure is basically is selected category. So what I'm doing, at first I am saving the selected values. Okay, selected values based on this table. Okay, or so what it is doing is that when I select 2 days late, 2 days late, this var selected category actually captures my selection. Okay, and then I am also saving the days delayed, and here, okay, let me just use days delayed category. Okay, and return what I'm returning. So I'm using an if else condition. So if selected category is either show all or current category, that is basically the selected what I'm selecting, then it will return me 1, otherwise it will return me 0. Okay, very simple thing. So what it will do, so when I select 2 days late, then if I put it here and if I get it is equals to 1, then you see now it actually gets dynamically filtered. So actually there were no data in our table that is more than 3 days late. So for that it is actually coming blank. Delivered on time, you see all the delivery on time is showing. 1 day late, all the 1 day late is showing. 2 days late, all the 2 days late is showing. 3 days late and everything. Okay. So here you see in our table visual, we did not use any kind of columns here. We are basically using the measures here. Okay. And the measure is actually getting filtered by a disconnected table and its column that is getting used on slicer. But there is a problem with this approach, is that when you select multiple, then it gets confused and it actually show me all the things. Okay, this is a problem with this approach. And to actually fight this approach, I actually came up with another solution. That is, we actually do not need this is selected category. We actually do not need this is selected category. And then what we can do? So we can do is that we can create another measure that will be filtered days delayed, and we will use the calculate function and we will put days delayed here. But this day delayed will get filtered based on the selection of the slicer. So how we can manage this? So vector order lines, and then the measure we created, days delayed category, it will get filtered based on the selected value of the slicer. So the slicer is basically the days delayed category. Enter. Now now from our table visual, let us delete both the things. Let's use the days delayed. Sorry, let's use the filtered days delayed. Now you see nothing is showing because nothing is selected from this slicer. If I select 1 day, then it will show me only 1. If I select 2 days, it will show me 2. More than 3 days, sorry, delivered on time, it will show me the delivered on time thing. But this is actually not correct, right? I need to be able to see all the values when I'm not selecting anything. from my slicer. This is the common thing. So for that, what we can do, we can add this column here, and it will work just fine. So when you select 1 day late, it will show you 1 day late. Suppose 2 and 3 day late, it will only show you the 2 and 3 day late values. It will not show you like all the others. So multiple selection on the slicer is right now it is working. Okay. So let's summarize. So what is actually happening here? So the filter days delayed, this measure, it is actually related to this column or this categorical column. Okay. So when I'm actually inserting this categorical column, and when I'm not selecting anything from this slicer, so this means all the categories will show. Okay. And then because all the category will show, that is why all the filter days delayed will also show. But if I want to see an specific category, then I will select something on the slicer, and then it will also get visualized on my table. Okay. So basically they are interlinked together, this column and this filter days delayed, and that is why they are now able to work seamlessly. Okay. So you might think that then why we are actually using, like we're actually doing this so difficult manner. We can just use a DAX calculated column, and then we can actually manage to do this. Okay. Of course we can do this like do it like this, and for such simple scenario like ours, it is actually not intuitive to do. But suppose you have a very complicated days delayed, very complicated sorry, suppose you have very complicated categorical situation here. Suppose you need to create a category based on multiple columns. Okay, based on multiple columns and their conditions. So in that scenario, if you use DAX calculated column to create the categorical column, it will not be appropriate. You might get wrong results. Okay, so in that scenario, you must have to use a DAX measure. And suppose you have a requirement to get the DAX measure categorical thing, slice it by a slicer, then you will have to create this another disconnected table, and then interlink them using like a filter and selected value function, and then you can seamlessly work with your measure type category and your slicer. So all in all, this is actually pretty much an advanced scenario. So for a simple scenario or for a straightforward scenario, this is actually not intuitive to use. But for suppose like complicated scenario, this is very useful to use. Okay. So I hope you learned something from this video, and please make sure to drop a like in my video and subscribe to my channel. I'll really appreciate it. Thank you very much.